DDG episode 137. I'm trying to get those in between the pops and the booms that we're hearing in either not my background because I'm in the basement and like a secluded area that's harder to hear them. But you'll hear them on Michael's.
Floor, so you're gonna hear all my stuff.
Michael's level with the fireworks. More level.
Yeah, fireworks and like internet disruptions are going to happen today, so
So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning on podcast services around the world, and we live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, typically on Monday nights, sometimes on Tuesdays and Sundays. This is a Sunday. So if you're here in the chat, thank you for dropping in and hanging out for a little bit. We know it's a little inconsistent scheduling, but it's a holiday week. And to be honest with you, we don't have a lot to talk about. So usually when we think these shows are going to be like 35, 40 minutes, they're like an hour and 40 minutes. But legitimately, there's not a ton going on right now. So, but if you want to check out all the links to join the community and hang out, they're in the show notes. Please, please, please consider reviewing the show if you have not done so yet. Whatever service you listen on, if it lets you give a rating, please do so. If it lets you give a rating in words, it helps a lot. It's been a long time since anybody gave us any words, so even if they're bad words, words are good.
Maybe not bad words, but unless it's like, this is a really fucking good podcast, then
yeah. I'm not even talking about those bad words. I just want if somebody writes a written review and they actually have genuinely feedback that you or me needs to hear or read, like I want to know. Like if you don't like it or you don't like something or whatever.
DM us that bullshit. Don't put that on the front-facing iTunes, okay?
Yeah, I guess maybe not after like 6 months of nobody writing anything. So
yeah, probably not the best strategy. But it's okay, Dave. It's okay.
It's been a long week, so
it has.
All right. Like I said, we live stream on Twitch, and you can subscribe to us on Twitch if you choose to. You can link your Amazon account with your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming. There's a bunch of cool stuff that you get for Prime Gaming, as well as a sub for a streamer of your choice. Please consider using that on us, or at least on somebody that you streams that you like to watch. That way that you're not giving that money back to Amazon. So, all right. With that, we're gonna jump into probably just like rapid fire news. That's what I think I'm going to call it today.
Yeah. This is definitely the week where we're doing a show because we do a show. Because we're just creatures of habit. All right, so Nintendo Direct Mini, I believe it happened the day after we recorded, and we joked that there would probably be amazing things in the recap, and turns out there really wasn't. There's good things, like I highlighted the stuff that I thought would interest me and Dave. So I'm just going to go through these. Nier Automata is coming October 6th. Looks like this is like a native port of the game, not a cloud streaming port of the game, which is funny because it made Kingdom Hearts fans very, very upset because the Kingdom Hearts games were like bad streaming versions of the game. And people are wondering, okay, if you're able to get Nier on the Switch natively, why couldn't they do that to Kingdom Hearts? So... no idea why, but...
I think that comes down to just the developer's ability to
it's still Square
files.
Enix.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so different developer, same publisher, but it's not the actual developers working on it. It's like a port house. So
I wonder if it's just projected sales, too, though. If they really think, like, all right, let's just give them Kingdom Hearts and see what it does. Or like, oh, hey, we know we're going to do Automata on there, and it will do well. So, like, we got to make it run well, you know?
Yeah, you know but even with that, it's like you'd think Kingdom Hearts, Disney Kingdom Hearts... would have been enough for them to be like, all right, we're going to put this work in. But then again, Nier is one game, and the Kingdom Hearts collection is 8 games, multiple. 9 games? So
6 and a quarter.
Yeah, there's at least reason behind it, but they could have done Kingdom Hearts 3. All right, Super Bomberman R2 was announced for 2023. This is good news because a lot of my friends were very sad because the first game's multiplayer was announced to be shutting down this year, and now we know why, because it seemed weird that they're going to shut down the multiplayer after 18 months, and turns out they're going to do that because they have a sequel announced.
Still kind of crappy, though.
Still really shitty. It's basically forcing you... Hopefully this is free-to-play as well, because the Superman Bomber R went free-to-play eventually, so hopefully they transition to free-to-play. We got something that partly would interest Dave, but then the second half doesn't. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is coming in 2023. Dave, I would bet that you have not played any of the network.
I actually think I have
on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, messed with it a little bit, or like a network Mega Man, which I actually kind of enjoyed. I'm actually a little bit more intrigued with this collection for Owen. Something I don't remember if it's a little bit too overly complicated or maybe like too much reading. Yeah,
it is. It's basically like, what if we kind of RPG the Mega Man games just a little bit?
Although he has been getting tremendously better at, like, he's actually doing really good in Minecraft Dungeons, surprisingly. So he's kind of evolving. Yeah,
I would say this got a lot of my friends excited, because I would say for my generation, this would be a lot of their first interaction with Mega Man, is this network collection on a Game Boy Advance.
This actually, this series had a pretty, like, popular, like, cartoon show too, right? Like there was a network like Mega Man Network show that was actually like doing okay for a Mega Man show.
I want to say you're right, though it definitely has that art style of like everything in the 90s. So like I could be I could be wrong, because it does have a Digimon like vibe to it. But I just remember this being very popular growing up.
Like 10 games, isn't it?
I wonder how many are in
much.
Yeah, I wonder. There are a fair amount of them. I'm not too sure what the legacy is. But the one complaint I remember there being is, game to game, they're not that different. So it's going to be interesting to see everything put together in a collection.
Yeah, I mean, if the little bits and pieces I remember of it, it sounds like it's just, like you said, it's just the same Mega Man story in an RPG format instead of a side-scrolling precision platformer.
Yes and no, but I do not want to get into the nitty-gritty of Network, because it's been so long since I've messed with the Battle Network games. All right, then we got Pac-Man World Repack, which is a remaster of the platformer Pac-Man game from, I thought it was the GameCube era. Turns out it was PS1 era. I might be thinking of a different Pac-Man platforming game.
Well, GameCube was like PS2, right?
Yeah, that's where my head went to
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I was like, oh, the GameCube games? But it turns out it's a PS1 era game, so PS1 N64 era Pac-Man. Because I remember enjoying like the open world platforming Pac-Man games.
That sounds so weird to say.
Yeah, it's interesting though. They did have to, since Pac-Man doesn't own the rights to Miss Pac-Man, they had to change Miss Pac-Man.
Her name, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, and her look too. Like, can't have the bow because there's like some weird rights with Miss Pac-Man, which just blows my mind that there's like this weird difference of owners between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, and it's showing now that, you know, they had to change the look of Miss Pac-Man and change the name as well. We have Mario Rabbids. There's a new trailer for Sparks of Hope, and it's coming October 20th. So this is, we're wondering what Ubisoft's going to have like this holiday. It's going to be this, and this will do very well for them. And did you play
great.
Did you play the first one?
I haven't played it, but like Owen was playing tons of it for a while. Yeah. So I should look and see like how long it says to beat that kind of game, and maybe try to get that going for the holiday for me.
Yeah, definitely seems like they streamlined like a decent amount of it, making it a little bit more accessible, even though it was already pretty accessible. But some of the things that they were doing that they showed in the trailer, and I think there was a extended stream on the game as well.
Yeah, and the thing about the Rabbids and Mario combined is that, you know, it's gonna be funny, it's gonna be entertaining, and it's super safe.
Yeah,
just to play, like, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, that's a game that you could take anywhere and be playing it, and somebody overhears something that happens in the game, they're gonna be like, "What are you playing? Like, why are you doing that?"
Yeah, and also it's safe in terms of like, you know, based off the first one, it's not going to be like this extraordinary, groundbreaking game, but you also know it's not going to be complete dog shit. You know, like
it's really cool, like entry level tactics though. Like again, like just going back to like we talked about after the Xbox showcase, like the evolution of the Minecraft player, going from Minecraft digital Legos to Minecraft Dungeons to now this new Minecraft that's coming out. Like as the player is like progressing, like eventually, when Owen is comfortable reading and able to comprehend what he's doing when he's 9, 10, 11 years old or younger, but he'll already have a foundation from playing these games, like where I'm not going to like try to re-explain something to him, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great entry level thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't be a Nintendo Direct without like a game shadow dropping, and they shadow dropped Portal Companion Collection, which is Portal 1 and 2 coming to the Switch. It took 24 hours for people to hack the game to get Half-Life 2 running on the Switch, which I just love. I don't have a jailbroken Switch, but like when stuff like this happens, I'm just like, damn, I probably should. But I think it's $20. I'm probably going to pick this up because I never did the co-op in Portal 2. And I feel like it's been long enough since I played Portal 1 and 2 that the puzzles will feel fresh and new to me. So I'm probably picking up this collection
It should
this
look
week.
and run great on a Switch, too.
You would hope. I haven't quite looked into it just yet because I'm
there's no reason
worried.
why it shouldn't, but Nintendo gonna Nintendo sometimes.
Yeah, the only thing I would probably be worried about is the co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's split screen co-op, so that's the only thing. But there's no reason why 1 and 2 single player can't run fine on the Switch. We were just talking about this last week. Persona 3, 4, and 5.
You get Persona.
You know what? Sega needs to make some money, so they might as well.
This is what we've been talking about. Like that other. I always mix them up, but the developer that left. That was doing Yakuza stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that was Sega, right?
Yeah, Sega published
because they weren't willing to go like the multi-platform route that he wanted to go, right?
Yeah, that was like one of many issues he was having. But that was like
now
a sticking
it's like,
point.
You know, we've heard like Sega's name being bounced around of like a possible merger and acquisition, and so now that somebody got on Sega's board, that's like, you guys are just dumb. Like, why are you not doing this? And he or she has gotten the ear of people because they're doing it. And they're doing it kind of quick.
Yeah, they're doing it relatively quick. And I wonder if it comes down to, like, all the acquisition talk where they're like, hey, maybe we should be acquired. And then someone on the board is like, but if we release games, we'll be more valued. Therefore, we can ask for more
that guy
money.
goes, hey, so if we put Persona on Game Pass, they're going to give us this money, and somebody on the board's like, up front, like before, and
then someone else is like, all right, all the work's done, why don't we release it on the PlayStation and then the Switch? It doesn't even need to run well on the Switch. People will eat that shit up. Though there's no reason that like Persona 4...
more accessibility is not a bad thing.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about Persona 4 PS2 and Vita is what it came out on. So we're far enough away.
A gen and a half ago?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where like you're not really seeing fanboy bullshit pop up with it of like, it's coming away from PlayStation.
Realistically, though, if you were still had a half an hour commute to work or whatever you used to have or used to do, you know, like if you had to get on a train or a bus for a half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever, like this kind of Persona stuff is great for that, right?
Yeah, I played Persona 4 Golden during college, like on my Vita. Like that was literally, I had like an hour between classes. So I was like, perfect. I'm not going to go home, you know, for an hour. And it was perfect for that. My new job, I have hour lunches. I'm kind of tempted to take my Switch because I don't always need to eat during my hour lunch. So this would be perfect time to revisit.
Or do you eat for an hour?
Yeah. It turns out, working
Michael
retail...
and I eat retail lunch, it's like 10 minutes.
No, exactly. Like, I literally eat my lunch at my new job, and I'm done in 10 minutes, and then I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to do for 50 minutes now?
Yeah.
So I might start bringing my Switch.
I put the over-under at 6 months before he complains about 1 hour lunch being too short.
No, I already had one of those days where I was like, my lunch is just a little too short. Because I had to wait in line for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
But I'm honestly tempted to bring an Xbox controller with me, not to talk about Game Pass, but bring an Xbox controller.
I got that Razer Kishi. I can just click it on my phone.
Yeah, I am fucking tempted. to just have an Xbox controller in my desk
drawer. Pick a Game
drawer.
Pass game, like what I can't even think of the name of it right now, but any of those like tactical RPGs or whatever, turn-based RPGs, like they're perfect for the phone, man.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I might do that. I had an Xbox controller at my old job that I would keep when I got bored.
Dude, your computer can probably run Game Pass.
Oh, it definitely could, but I'd need to go sneak away somewhere to go play.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be my lunch thing. I might have to get one of those controller adapters. So that is coming to Switch, and then Live a Live is got a demo out that was shadow dropped, and that's still, I believe, coming this September. And I believe Nintendo, I feel like, is the only one that does this. But your progress from the demo, I believe, will carry over to the full game, which seems to be a common thing.
Some other companies have gotten a little bit better at that. But they usually like hide it behind a beta now. Like, oh, it's a beta. Of course your progress doesn't carry over. And now it's like, okay, demos should. It's almost kind of been like
demos always should have.
Right.
I see it more on Switch than I see it on PlayStation or Xbox, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the Nintendo Mini Direct. It was about a half hour. There's some pretty good stuff in there. It at least let us know what's going on with like Nintendo third party this holiday. Because we're still, I think, due a Splatoon Direct.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be the big one. There's the rumors of the Metroid Prime remaster coming this holiday. And then you have Mario Rabbids coming out this year, which I believe we already knew it was coming out, but Ubisoft's been so quiet.
All things considered, Nintendo through the month of June was very quiet for Nintendo stuff. So hopefully they have something, I don't know, around Gamescom, maybe?
Splatoon's supposed to be September-ish, so I would assume we get a big Splatoon Direct.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll use Gamescom as a reason to do a big Direct, but they will not be doing it from Gamescom. If that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like this. This is not part of Summer Games Fest or anything. They just kind of did their own thing. Nintendo be Nintendo. All right, let's move on to annoying news. But God of War Ragnarok.
The internet's bad? The internet's bad?
Yes, the internet is bad. So God of War Ragnarok is still coming this year. The studio had to ask, though, for fans to be better. Because Cory Balrog tweeted that the game hasn't been delayed and news will be available soon when it's ready. Previously, they originally said that God of War Ragnarok will be 2022. So it's still on track for that, I guess.
So, is it actual 2022 or Sony's physical 2022?
I think that's how they get around it.
Yeah.
Like, if they have to delay it.
This is like February, March, like at this point in time. Like, unless we hear something by the end of July, this has got to be February or March, right? You can't, like, August 15th is like, August 15th is my D-Day for a November date. Do you agree?
So I feel like I do agree with you. Like, ideally,
it's got to be more than 90 days, right? For like,
it's a big franchise. They probably are confident they can get away with it. I know,
but there's a lot of people that there's a lot of PS4 owners that it sits on their in their entertainment center and they wait for something to they wait for their Red Dead or for their God of War or for the Uncharted or the big franchises, and they're like, oh, there's another, because like I remember using like when Red Dead 2 came out again or GTA 5 came, like there were people on my social media feeds that I'm like, oh, this guy plays video games, no, this guy just plays Red Dead. Like, so and God of War is in there in that area from previous ones and this current one that I think and Sony could do a fantastic marketing job if they try to date and release it within 90 days. They could do a fantastic job of that with the NFL and the World Series and all this stuff that's going on this fall and this holiday. I'm just not a fan of it. Like, in terms of like a special edition, trying to get it, how fast it sells out, not getting another restock. Like, it just.
I really think though that Sony Santa Monica are trying their damn best to get it out this year, which is why they refuse to call it. Mm-hmm. And honestly,
but this is going to be one of those days where Corey comes on the screen and goes, look, like it'll be like August 1st. He's like, look, we tried, like we can't. We can't.
Yeah, and at this point, I wonder if like it's been so long that they're just like, you know what, we can't even come out and say it's delayed. We need to just heads down, work as much as we can, and forget a state of play, you know, because that's going to take development time away to just make the state of play to where there's probably an internal deadline that if they don't hit a certain
you want it out by November, we can't do anything. We can't do any PR. We can't do anything. Like, no trailers.
I would
nothing.
I would think like if there's no word by Gamescom, then it's 2023. Like, which
August
Gamescom
15th
is
for
like,
me. I guess that's close enough to
well,
Gamescom.
I think Gamescom is like August 20th. So like I think that like
the reason why I say
stretch.
August 15th is because it's got to come out the week before Thanksgiving, and like 90 days. Like, I complain when a game gets delayed 30 days before it comes out. You got to have an announcement for a marquee title more than 90 days out. Like it's gonna sell no matter what. They could say on November 9th it's coming out November 11th and it's gonna do bonkers numbers. Like, it doesn't matter,
especially this holiday.
Yeah, like, but you still gotta whatever, billboards, YouTube ads, marketing, Twitter ads, like whatever. You still gotta build some hype up around it. Like,
well, I assume that stuff's already ready, like, because PlayStation's been buying generic ads for the last, like, 2 years.
No, I'm not saying it's not ready. I'm just saying that you got to have a date to go with it. Like, that's all.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they already have, like, their
7
World
trailers
Series.
with different dates on it.
Yeah, I'm sure they already have, like, their World Series ad buys locked in, their
NBA
NFL
opening weekend, Sunday Night Football, football on Twitch.
And right now, it says PS5 ad, and then under it, it's if possible, God of War ad, because they're just like, we need to lock down these times and days. So after that happened, Cory Barlog and then Sony Santa Monica had to come out, and this kind of plea to, I'm going to put heavy quotes on fans, to stop being pieces of shit, because a lot of the developers have been getting threats. Some developers have complained that people are sending them explicit photos in hopes that gets a release date out of them. And it's just kind of a mess that, you know, Cory Barlog, as a creative director at Sony Santa Monica, was like, please stop this. And then Sony Santa Monica had to come out and be like, we do not, like, condone the actions of these fans. Like, be patient and be respectful.
You ask for transparency from gaming companies, and when they're transparent, you destroy them.
Yeah.
Like, that's just bad. It's happening in Destiny right now, too. Like, one of the developers that was, like, one of the few left that was open on Twitter about what was going on and what the thought process was and why they do certain things that they do in the game. And then he came out and said something from Destiny 1 will never be in Destiny 2, and people were like, he went on some podcast interview, or somehow he shut his whole Twitter account down, but somebody, like, sent him a picture of his house.
Yeah.
Like,
Ron,
because there's an exotic chess piece not coming from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. Like, get a damn life.
Yeah. Well, it's Ron Gilbert, the creator of Monkey Island, was super excited 2 months ago to, like, be like, hey guys, there's a new Monkey Island coming out. And now he had to lock his Twitter account and basically said, I will never tweet about the game I'm working on because fans are too toxic. Like, it's...
Yeah. This is why Link will never have a voice.
Ridiculous.
Because you people can't let people have nice things.
Yeah, nothing's ever going to be good enough. So yeah, I mean, no one listening here is disrespectful, so it's fine. But if you know a fuckboy fanboy, maybe tell him to, like, fucking chill. Because holy shit. All right. Let's go on to this little bit of news. Sorry if it seems like I'm moving fast. The fireworks are just getting more intense, and I'm just trying to.
And my Discord connection to him is pixelating a little bit. Every time there's a boom, there's a delay.
Because there's people literally.
You wanted to record the day before the holiday. You picked this time.
To be fair, it's going to be way worse tomorrow.
Well, I didn't want to record tomorrow. We could record after the holiday, but that doesn't matter either. So,
yeah.
Because then everybody's going to shoot off what they have left that they bought on clearance.
There's literally people in the alley shooting under the power lines. Fireworks right now. And it's just like every year they do it, I'm just like, don't hit the transformer. Don't hit the transformer. All right. Bethesda has been hiring a team of... Okay, so there's a Fallout 4 mod called Fallout London. It's a mod that's been in the making for a couple years now. It is basically being advertised as like an expansion size mod. They're recreating like a section of London and are doing their own story. And they've been working on this for a couple years. And over the last couple years, Bethesda has been picking talent from this mod crew. So they just recently took another piece of talent from this team. So they've already have taken a writer and technical advisor, and the main person, the project lead, has also mentioned that like Bethesda did offer a job to him, and he turned it down because he wants to see this mod through. But I thought this was just kind of cool that there is like a mod team working on something really interesting, and it's so interesting that Bethesda is like, come work for us, and have been picking off talent from this. But basically the team behind the Fallout London mod made a blog post being like, hey, we're going to see this through. Yes, we've had multiple people leave to Bethesda, but that's just because what we're working on is like cool and interesting enough that Bethesda is like, come work for us.
Just buy on Microsoft. It can't be much.
I mean, Bethesda's already... It's
really
probably not a
be.
big...
Just...
Yeah. But yeah, they already they already acquired the talents of the writer and technical advisor, and looks like they're looking at the project lead. So I just thought this was kind of cool. Little bit of news. I don't know how you're not too into mods, but like you have to admit, it's kind of cool that...
I think it's cool that you get to see like the PC world of the mod world, that you get to see either mods turning into full-fledged games similar to what this is doing, or people that have done really cool mod work as a way of like, hey, like I can work on video games. Like I might not have a graphic design degree, but I can physically do this with my two hands in my head. Look.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just like when Media Molecule were hiring people off Little Big Planet, because the people
Yeah.
doing Little Big Planet like levels were doing stuff they didn't know was possible, so they were like, you're working for us now. So it's just really cool.
The government and private sectors have been doing it for years, taking the hackers and hiring them. Like, all right, you broke our system, now I'm going to hire you to make it so nobody else can.
Yeah. I can't remember, did PlayStation end up hiring GeoHots, like one of the main hackers? I'm pretty sure they ended up doing that eventually,
or at least brought him on as a consultant or something.
I think so. I don't know how that ended up working out, but like it happens all the time. But it's really cool to see when stuff like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next story. We don't usually talk about like stuff coming to PlayStation Plus or coming to Game Pass unless it's like a big thing. But I know me and Dave are super curious what the baseline PlayStation Plus Essential tier games were going to look like for July. And we got the answer. So it is Crash Bandicoot 4, Man of Medan, and Arcadegeddon. So
pretty par for the course. No highs,
nothing,
no lows. So like consistency is key, and I think it's cool. And then, but similar to what we were curious about is like, okay, what's coming to the two other tiers for July? Because like you've been asking, like, what are they going to continue to add to premium to hold my attention? And as of
all
now,
we know is Stray.
But yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about premium. Like the third isn't.
The classic tier.
Yeah. So like, and then I mean, you're going to talk about. You got two more bullet points in here, but there's stuff leaving already. And
that's what the next tier. Or next thing. Shadow Warrior 3 is leaving July 5th, and Siberia is leaving July 19th. It was also revealed that Red Dead 2 is leaving September 20th and Undead Nightmare October 17th. That's fine. That's a couple months out. Yeah. I'm more surprised by Shadow Warrior 3 leaving July 5th.
Even then, though, like, okay, yes, 30-day turnaround from your service going live, something leaving already, not a good idea. Bad.
No, terrible.
But 6 months, 5 months, not
3.
Great. 3 months.
For
like,
Red
not
Dead.
Great. Yeah, like not great at all. And to be fair, we don't really know when something leaves Game Pass, except for we get like I think a 14-day like heads up.
I want to say it's up to 30 now, but 14-day might be more accurate.
And so, sorry, there's somebody botting in the thing. I'll deal with it later. But then at the same time, there's stuff that's on Game Pass that's been on there longer than I expected to be. Like Outriders, I believe, is still there. MLB 21 is still there. So there's a lot of things that have still been there for a long time, and as well as just not knowing. It's really weird. Like your service went live worldwide for sure, like on like middle of June, and something's leaving the first week of July. Like that's weird.
It's super weird. Like, what was the point of even signing that deal? Like, unless
this stuff is tied to PS Now contracts, previous PS Now contracts.
Which it could be. I think Shadow Warrior 3 like launched on PS Now.
Yeah.
I want to say. So you might be onto something.
Yeah, it's like some of this stuff might be, because whether you like it or not, whether you believe me or don't believe me, this PS Plus tiers is just PS Now and PS Plus sandwiched together. Because I think if this didn't exist, Stray would have been there instead of Man of Medan. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, Stray probably would have been. Yeah.
Because Man of Medan is the PS5 title, or Crash is the PS4
title? Crash is a PS4, PS5 title. Medan is PS4.
Okay, Medan is the 4, and then yeah. So, I mean, one thing that we've talked about is that Game Pass has been able to succeed in is at least every 60 to 90 days, they control the internet for a couple of hours with a Game Pass announcement.
Yeah.
Somebody had you got to have some heavy hitters, man. Like, and this kind of just feeds me to, like I've been saying, that the Now and the Plus being rebranded as this, as well as I don't really think Sony cares.
Well, yeah,
after the $60 tier, I just don't.
Yeah, I mean,
as of now.
I think as of now, I think they stopped caring after the mid tier. But I see your point there. Like,
but what's coming to the mid tier in July? Stray?
Yeah, that's it. That's
we already know that though. Like, what's coming in August? Like,
well, we don't even know what days they update because they just said we'll update in the middle of the month, which is it used
to be a pretty telling thing of like, hey, there's a new game coming that's part of PlayStation's State of Play sale, and it's coming the first Tuesday. It's coming the first Tuesday of August. Oh, it's going to be a Plus game. Like,
yeah. And I think that's a thing that, like, I hope PlayStation figures out. Like, I follow Game Pass on Twitter because they update regularly, like, what's leaving, what's coming, and they'll remind you constantly. PlayStation Plus, as far as I know, they don't really have a Twitter account yet for that exclusively. Because I don't know if they have, like,
Game Pass doesn't really have a July update. They just, like you said, they just blog or tweet, hey, don't forget you can play NBA 2K today. Like,
Yeah, like I will say, yeah, they have gotten a little bit better at being like, here's your games coming in July, but
yeah,
but they at least spotlight,
they'll still shadow drop something on you.
Yeah, and it could be at any time of the month, so it's not like even a set day for when they hit you. Because I don't feel like 2K was announced like a month
they
prior.
tied it into the finals. I feel like they tied it to the finals. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping PlayStation
gets... The season might be over, but now you can play this all you want.
Shit, worked on me. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's been my exhausted sad boy game. So, yeah, I'm hoping PlayStation gets better. I am happy that the Essential tier didn't drop in quality. Like, it's pretty steady.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that was our question. Of like, how is this tier going to hold up?
We've been saying this about Sony since before the PS5. Like, just be a little more transparent. Just like even release a blog that says, "Hey, these are expiring old PS Now deals." That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and they used to do that for PS Now. Like, there'd be a monthly PS Now blog post, being like, "Hey, here's what's coming and going." But
now, like, I think I've seen I think I've seen on PlayStation Lifestyles, the place that Chandler used to write for. I literally think I've seen them say something to the extent of, "Hey, they have somebody assigned to like clicking on the games like once a week to see when they leave."
Yeah, and they have different regions that do it. That's basically, I think, how this came out of what's leaving.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, Shadow Warrior 3 is leaving, and Siberia is."
And
leaving
then stuff left like 5 days after the service went live in Europe.
Yeah.
Like something was there in the U.S. and then it went live in Europe and it wasn't live in the U.S. anymore. Like the game wasn't there.
Yeah,
It's just so weird.
Was there just a Retribution that popped up for a couple days or something like that? It was a PSP game.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very weird stuff going on there. Who knows? Maybe by the time this releases, there'll be the July blog post, and we'll be like, "Cool, they should really do this before July." Yeah. Because that's how PlayStation Plus works. A week before the first of the month, they're like, "Hey, here's what's coming."
the Wednesday before the Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, we find out or something.
Yeah. So hopefully they find a rhythm for that. And just like lock down a day. Like, hey, the 15th you will have something instead of it being a generic middle of the month. Because people are going to be looking at the 15th and 16th, being like, "Where's my games?" And they need to hit that. All right. Sucker Punch. They're not working on Sly Cooper or Infamous, nor is anybody else. So rumors started to swirl this week because some non-insider was saying that Sucker Punch is working on Sly Cooper and Infamous at the same time, and then Sucker Punch basically had to come out and say, "That's not true. Sucker Punch is not working on Sly Cooper. They're not working on Infamous, nor is any other studio working on Infamous or Sly Cooper." So they immediately just had to kill that rumor because they must have been annoyed. And then Sucker Punch gave a little bit of an update. So they said they're focusing on their current project, and they have no plans for that in the future or anything currently. But they are going to keep the servers for Infamous 2's UGC going. There was like some user-generated content for Infamous 2, which I completely forgot existed, but they said they're keeping those. Existed. Yeah, it's like time trial type stuff that you can create in the game.
Okay.
They said there's still a community there.
This other thing is fascinating to me. I didn't know this was a thing either.
Yeah. And then they also said that they are trying to get the infamous Second Son Cold Legacy DLC on the PlayStation Store in the future. This was tied to a collector's edition. I do believe currently in Europe, you can just download it for like £5 or whatever from the PlayStation Store, but it's not available as a separate purchase in the
Can you buy the
US.
collection still? Can you buy the collector's edition? Or is it...
No, I don't believe so.
I did not know this was a thing.
Yeah, so basically...
I don't remember this being a thing.
Yeah, so basically it's side missions that get unlocked when you have this pack that let you unlock Cole's like suit. And different objects or different like cosmetic stuff. But there are missions attached to this. So apparently that's just never been available standalone in North America, and Sucker Punch is working to make that available in the future, which you would think it wouldn't be that difficult, but PlayStation. So yeah, Dave, disappointed, sad, surprised that they're not working on Infamous or
all of the above.
Yeah.
All again, and I'm actually surprised. Like I'm sad that it's neither one of them are happening, because we've been talking about like we would love to see like a modern Sly Cooper, or them to continue a Cole's story of like what happened post Infamous 2, depending on which direction you did or didn't go. So I'm not like, I haven't played it, but I haven't had a huge desire to dig into Ghost of Tsushima, and I have no idea why. So that's kind of where I'm like not getting the Sucker Punch fix from that as of now. I haven't heard my son really say anything crazy, positive or negative about it either. But that nobody else is working on it either is a little bit of transparency that I'm surprised by.
Which I appreciate greatly.
I agreed, but it also, based on Jim Ryan's criteria, that's not a blockbuster anymore.
Yep. It was like a cute thing they did during the PS3 era.
Yeah.
As far as Jim Ryan's probably concerned.
That's not a 10 million copy selling thing.
Yeah. Though if you tell me Infamous could be, I would probably say like it could be if they, put some stuff behind it. The longer you wait,
the less it gets.
Yep. And Sly Cooper would only work well if they like can tie it into like a movie or merchandise stuff, which would require probably more money than they're willing to put into the franchise to get it off the ground. Yeah, I'm saying I'm disappointed. Like, I appreciate the transparency.
They just ripped the whole Band-Aid off the entire arm.
Yeah, as opposed to being like, oh, what is Ben working on? It's like, no, not this.
They didn't leave any little like wordplay at the end of like, oh, maybe we'll like get a crack in time or something like that, or we'll get a thief back, and like what? The people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like nothing like that. They're like, yeah, it ain't happening, and ain't nobody else touching it.
Yeah. I again appreciate the transparency so that this shuts down like rumors for that. I totally understand why Sucker Punch is probably working on Ghost of Tsushima 2. That game was wildly successful, I think beyond their expectations. I think they were expecting that game to perform as well as like Infamous did, where it's like, hey, so sells a couple million copies, does well, but it was a massive hit for Sucker Punch. So the idea that they possibly are working on Ghost of Tsushima 2 totally makes sense from a financial standpoint. And
they're just
going to
put Cole and Ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be great.
Ghost of Infamous.
Yeah, so pretty transparent, kind of a bummer. I think what hurt me is like I was fine with Sucker Punch not working on Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
I was hoping
and no one else
was
is touching our baby.
Yeah. So sadly, no Sly Cooper love.
But this is
I do.
Okay, this is the problem though. Like that Sony might potentially be having is that great studios, okay, fantastic studios, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, like that are moving up the list, marquee studios that aren't willing to allow other people to work on their babies because they're worried about their legacy. Like we heard about this with like the Last of Us remake and the impromptu visual team that did it. Like, oh, look at what we did, and then Naughty Dog's like, yeah, but you didn't, so we're gonna fix it.
Yeah, like I wonder if it's more Sony or PlayStation being like they're just not feasible, and I could see because as far as I know, Thieves in Time, Sly Cooper 4 was well received. It wasn't Sucker Punch. It was
right. I can't remember their names right now.
Benzaro or some. I forget exactly what the studio name is.
That sounds right. Yeah.
It's the Sonic Boom developers. As far as I know, it wasn't like the greatest Sly Cooper game, but it wasn't terrible as far as I remember. Like people did enjoy it. Maybe a little disappointed in it. So like maybe it's either PlayStation is just like, no, there's no money in this, or Sucker Punch is like, yeah, we tried giving someone Sly Cooper and it just didn't hit like our like goals.
Yeah, but like Activision gave somebody else Call of Duty on the Vita and that wasn't it. Like the Sly Cooper was fine. Like,
yeah, I mean the Sly Cooper was fine, but like if it didn't meet their expectations as like the creator, like I wonder if they have that much sway where if PlayStation tells them like, hey, we're giving it to someone else, and then Sucker Punch is like, the hell you are. Like I don't know if they have that much sway. Specifically because it takes them so long to develop games, I don't really have Sucker Punch in like the top 3 at PlayStation studio wise.
Who do you have above them other than
Insomniac's
and Naughty Dog? Okay,
Insomniac's number 1. Naughty Dog's number
owned by them.
I would say Insomniac's number 1, Naughty Dog's number 2, Sony Santa Monica number 3.
But that's, for the record, that's with Sony Santa Monica releasing one game in 10 years.
God of War 3. But, okay, so this is when I'm going to fucking pull up some.
I think.
So Sony Santa
Monica. But...
So Sony Santa Monica, they helped with a lot of games. They were kind of doing what San Diego Studios. I would actually put San Diego Studios at like number 4 over Sucker Punch, but that might be blasphemous to some people. But just because MLB The Show is consistently every
consistency.
year.
Yeah, you're talking about consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but God of War, our Sony Santa Monica had that before they brought Barlog back. They had that sci-fi game like that was supposedly like 70% done, just get whacked. Like they got canceled, and like a whole bunch of people lost their jobs for that. Yeah.
So like, okay, so games developed in
God of War Ascension with the last thing, right?
So God of War is 2005, God of War 2007, God of War 3 2010, Ascension 2013, God of War 2018, Ragnarok 2022.
So like, one game in 10 years.
No.
9.5. 9.5.
So from 2010 to 2020, they released 3 games.
2013 to 2022, they've released 1 game.
Well, you would count Ascension as a game that was released in 2013, and then 2018 is God of War.
Okay.
And then if they make it this year, in 10 years between 2010 and 2020 or 2013 to 2023, it'd be 3 games.
I'm just I get it. Like I'm just saying, in the last 7 years, like we've gotten 1 game from Santa Monica, and you're saying that they're number 2.
Number 3.
Yeah.
So I would say that, and I love Sucker Punch. This is not me talking shit about like Sucker Punch. It's just in terms of like games released. I feel like they're
Sucker Punch has got 2
consistent.
games on PS4. Santa Monica's got 1.
Yes, and 1 DLC for Infamous Second Son, like the lone expansion.
I was just saying, Sucker Punch has got 2: Second Son and Ghosts. And San Diego or Santa Monica has 1.
Ascension was 2013.
Since PS4 launched.
Oh, PS4, yes.
Yes.
But they're going to have 2 once Ragnarok comes out, because sadly, that's a PS4 game. But yeah, so that would be my PlayStation like ranking of that. Yeah, so that's it.
And
for
again,
the news.
before anybody gets pissed, it's still better than anything Xbox has put out.
Yeah, we can't even rank the fucking Xbox tiers because it's just a fire of like inconsistency. It's the Horizon team, the Forza Horizon team, and that's it over at Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
God, that is true. Shit.
Like everybody gets on me about being like so like, oh, you're so pro Microsoft. Like, well, I'm pro Game Pass. I'm not pro their studios right now. I would love to see their studios. I'm excited for like Redfall and Hellblade and all this other stuff. But
that's all the Bethesda studios for the most part. Like, yeah.
Those who can't buy.
Yeah.
So there was nothing delayed. And based on a little bit of the hectic week, as we kind of hinted at last week that Michael and I have both had with work and just lives and stuff, we're not going to do what we're playing and watching today because it's not really anything super interesting from either one of us.
Stranger Things Season 4, that was it for me. That's like
I'm still trying to figure out if I actually want to watch that show at all.
You'd like it.
So, and we have one question or comment that was sent in to us using hashtag AskDigitalDays. It's from Ali. He said, guys, I'm super confused. I have a question for any other PlayStation players out there. Looking at the PlayStation 1 games that have shown up in the store, do any of them show for free for you guys? I have a couple, like Siphon Filter and Toy Story 2, that are free to download. I bought these way back on PS3 as one of the PS3 classics, which you loaded onto the PSP. Is Sony now giving access to previous purchases, or have you always been able to access PS3 purchases? So I'm going to say my answer, and then Michael's probably going to correct me because he knows a little bit more about this than I do. I believe that they said anything that you bought digitally on PS3 that was attached to the current PSN account that you have, when and if it does come to the services, and they can obviously link a purchase to it, that they will grant you access to it since you did buy it. And then to answer that first question, and then the second part of the question, have you always been able to access PS3 purchases? Yes, as long as you're on a PS3.
Yeah. So Dave, you're absolutely correct. They did say in the initial blog post, like, hey, you will have access to those games you purchased as they become available, if they're available, something along those lines.
Because can these games be bought a la carte?
Some of them can, and some of them can't, which is a little bit confusing.
Okay.
So, like, you can't buy Tekken 2 or Resident Evil 1. You have to be subscribed to that. But you can buy Mr. Driller and Siphon Filter. So it's a really annoying, like, PlayStation Store thing of, like, why can I buy these and I can't buy these? They're all PS1 classics. And if you want to get ahead of the curve and take stabs in the dark, load up your PS3, buy some PS1 classics on there just to see what happens when stuff comes out. Like, I'm so mad. I have like 30 PS1 classics, and only Siphon Filter and I think one other game were actually Siphon Filter and I think Ape Escape were the only PS classics that were available that I already owned of the 30 that I own. But yeah, I remember when the PS5 first came out, and I was like, why the fuck do they have a PS3 tab that doesn't load, that you can filter through the store? And now I'm assuming that's why they had a PS3 filter, but they'll probably take that away since they're marking all the PS1 games as PS4 and PS5 games. But yeah, it's accessible through Download Manager, I believe, in terms of seeing them on the PS3. But like, you're not going to be able to see your other ones available until they become available.
And that's the state of the internet right now. Like, we've talked about the bad part of the internet, but the cool part of the internet is that there's literally somebody that has a desk job or a work from home job that will every day try to somehow like shadow download a PS1 classic game onto his PS5, and then one day it'll just work and he'll break Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's someone who checks every day and just sees, like, send to system, like, in the download management on the website or their phone. Fail. Yeah. Success. Or it just constantly sends to a PS3 that's not on anymore, and then they, like, rush home to their PS5 to see if it goes through. Yeah. But, man,
and then they'll break Reddit for 4 hours, and then they'll move on.
Yeah. It would be great, though, if PlayStation would notify us of what PS1 games are going to be coming.
Oh, you mean like on a blog post or something every month?
Yeah, or a dedicated Twitter account would be nice. Just to know, because I am going to upgrade this month to get Stray. But
yeah, everything that I've heard is just it needs a UI upgrade to make it more clear, have some more clarity of what's locked to what tier.
Yeah, and there's also a problem where certain games just aren't accessible to certain users, and then you have to do a weird workaround to get it to like go. I think you go on the app and then push the download to your system.
I also realized that there probably should be a feature that they have not talked about. Again, only because Xbox set the standard for it. But as we find out, as more of this stuff is leaving, like as a PS tiered subscriber, PS Plus tiered subscriber, like if you want to buy it, like you should get it on a discount.
It doesn't even have to be a big discount, just
I think 10%. Xbox is 20%. I think Xbox is 20%. It's
20%.
Yeah. Any game that's on Game Pass that you choose to buy is you get 20% off as a Game Pass subscriber.
Yeah. And
you don't get 20% off everything, but if it's on Game Pass and for whatever reason you're only playing like 3 games and you realize you're spending too much on Game Pass, and you want to purchase those 3 games and then cancel your subscription, you get them for 20% off. Or if a game's leaving, you get that notification that it's leaving soon, and you can purchase it for 20% off.
Yeah, I did remember for so long there were problems of just if a PlayStation Plus game popped up and you wanted to buy it, you couldn't because it was in your PS Plus library. I think they might be fixed now, but I don't know for sure.
There's 2 options. There's 2 options now. Like it'll say like add to library or purchase. Like so it is purchasable. But then to your point, okay, so like I purchased, I don't even know, Crash Bandicoot, or I downloaded Crash Bandicoot and I really enjoy it and I want to continue playing it, but I don't want to pay for Plus anymore. Okay, so like I have to wait for my Plus subscription to expire and then buy it. Or if I see that's on sale or it's on some flash sale, like I want it because I want to own it. Oh, you already have it in your library. Yeah, but I really don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about is you remember when PS Plus was first a thing and it was like you get 1 PS3 game and 1 PS1 game? Mm-hmm. I wonder if those PS1
is it gonna know
games,
if those PS1 games are gonna be I don't think there's any way that the system knows that you didn't, like, they don't know how you got the game. You know what I'm saying?
it should have an expiration date on it, because if you go on your PS3, it should show expiration date. So that would be the only way for them to find out. But unfortunately, none of the games that launched were games that I got through PS Plus. So I'm going to have to wait to see.
It's similar to, like, John Brinkley asked a question in the Facebook group. You didn't put it in here. It wasn't really worth it. But he was like, hey, so if I'm playing this game on Plus and it leaves, do I get to keep my save data? And everybody's like, well, yeah. But, I mean, it's like, those are the kind of questions that consumers have, though. Like, where does my save data go? I was like, well, you can put it in the cloud or put it on a jump, on a USB.
Yeah. It'll stay on your system. If it's in the cloud, I think there's an expiration date for stuff in the cloud once your subscription lapses, but I'm not too sure what that is.
But if it goes away, like if you don't have your subscription for like 6 months and you resubscribe, like the game's there and your save file's there as long as you don't clear your hard drive space. So. Yeah,
so it should be fine. And most save data is really small unless it's like a Bethesda game. Then it might be a gigantic save file. But hey, you won't have to worry about Bethesda games on your PlayStation much longer.
Wow. Yeah. All right, that's our show for this week. You can follow us on our main Twitter account at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at the First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. Lately, I've been tweeting about the demise of college football conferences because they're getting blown to hell. And NBA free agency is like the only time I paid this close of attention to the NBA for like 2 weeks. Kevin Durant might be a Bull. I can say that for 30 other teams.
Yep, every team that might have a couple draft picks and like one.
As long as you don't have and if your player has a rookie contract or rookie max contract extension, he's not being traded because they already got somebody else that they can't have more than one. I learned that this week. So. Yeah,
that was a rule I learned this week as well.
I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. So, and 90% of our listeners don't know what we're talking about. So you can join the Facebook group like we just talked about where some of the questions were posted. You can join our Discord server. Patreon is there as well. So patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. Teesprings is there, and just a generic PayPal account is there too. If you want to just throw us a buck here or there, you can do so as well. So with that is all I have for this week. I might have some cool stuff pop up on the feed later on in the week, I hope, depending if everything works. So just make sure you got our notifications on or whatever, however that works for a podcast. So and that is it for this week. So I hope everyone has a great one and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.